Anyway, let's get on to part 2 of the video. So we'll let old me waffle on for a bit, and we might edit that out if it's proves pointless. But yeah,
And have a look at the other one. 26.7. What have we got here? So all of these go up.
Yeah, I've got the throttle at 100%, 0. You can
So
see it on APP_R. So it's 100% down to 0. Throttle open, throttle closed. There we go, throttle closed.
as far as this is concerned,
See 1.2 there. So that's where the ECU sees the adjustment. The O2 sensor's still having a fun time.
okay. Well, we'll go back and analyze this and see what we get.
So this was the startup and the code reading.
Oops. Yep, bike's on. I want to see which bits it was checking for. So, enter. Okay.
Yeah, I did this because I wanted to track the actual codes that were popping up. 1, 3, 4,
5, 6, 7, 8, C, D, E, F.
Okay, we'll call that there. These are these codes, so I went back later and did a little, well, I won't say I investigated, I got lazy and used AI. And it pulled back all the full descriptions of them. So I sat down, worked out which ones were relevant for what I needed for the whole TPS sensor thing. But the big one for this sort of second part video was the O2 sensor voltage, this one. So yeah, PID 14 is voltage and a short-term fuel trim, although short-term fuel trim is covered up here, but this one was outputting voltage. Because the feedback loop is disabled, this won't actually show up any data for me, but this I wanted to see. Okay, so let's have a look at the typical output of a narrowband sensor. It's really hard to find an accurate graph, but this will be good enough. So this is sort of the normal range of what we see. It's 0.5 in the center, and it goes between 0 and 1 volt, and so it's meant to be 14.7 is 0.5 volts. This is, I think, a little dramatic. It does actually taper off in more of a curve, but this is good enough for what we're doing. Now the goal with the fuel map tuning is to push it into the slightly richer area. Now the problem is that this is going to be contentious because some people are like, no, it has to be down in here, and it's like, no, that's just crazy rich. It's unnecessary. You're just trying to cool it a little bit more. If you're not burning it, then it's not contributing anything. So, and this 14.7, it burns everything, all right, and releases the most energy, but most of that energy is heat. So one of the things, as soon as you start moving it to these areas into 14 and into the mid 13s and whatnot, then that extra fuel does actually start to cool the engine, and that's the main reason we're doing it. You can go and research it, and it's like, yeah, you want that extra fuel to cool it, it atomizes better, and then you do get a cleaner burn and a better burn, and maybe a little extra power as well. But yeah, we're kind of stuck being able to get to I expect the lower area of the 14, but I think on other curves I've seen, we might be able to get down into the 13s just by looking at, say, if we can aim for 0.9 volt, which I can convert this data to. So yeah, we've got the O2 sensor output in our log files. So if I go to, actually, if we come back, and we had our PID codes, all right, so we had these, and I'm jumping now from O2 sensor back to throttle position stuff. So I did a recording, I stepped back through it, a live data recording that Foxwell will take 46 snapshots, a couple of seconds apart. And yeah, I went through all of it and I was able to sort of capture some open throttle and some closed throttle and whatnot. Now I had some data in the log files. So I had 16, let's see. So yeah, I had 19, 16 to 17, um, and yeah, 12 to 13, 14, 15, 16. So this is the ETV used by Woolwich. I think this was the TPS sensor used by Woolwich, and I'd speculated that this was the true TPS value. It is. To be honest, let's come. Oops. Oh, this was just a max min run that I did, and I fed it to the AI because I got it to do the diagnostics. Not worried about that. That was me trying to do it manually. Yeah, so here's all of those just mapped out. Now, the big one was these ones. Let's see. So I've now been able to map each of these to what they are. I'll read these out because I don't have them at hand. So this one here, 12 to 13, is 12 to, it's PID, PID X49. So those codes are all hexadecimal. Um, Now this is kind of interesting because it sort of says, well, Woolwich, maybe what you're doing isn't really right because the bike's telling us where these things are. This is accelerator pedal position D. So this is 49. It's this one here. All right, accelerator position pedal D. Now, let's go for, and these values here, this 12.5 and 69. This is the calculation for a car. It's not actually real values. Okay, so we have now 14. 14 is PID 47. X 47. All right, and it is absolute throttle position. ETV raw 18. 18. This is OX 11. PID OX 11. And we can see that is this one. So that is this percentage here. So 35 equates to 14.9 there. Now, if we come back to 1617, this one is PID OX4A. So I'll uncolor that. 15 is the one we want. 15 is PID OX5A. Okay, so we had 1617 is 4A is this one. So it's the accelerator pedal position. Right, so it should go with the 49. So it matches 12 and 13. So 12 and 13 go together. Don't ask me about this. I have no idea. I think that's just it starting up because this is on bike being turned on. So it's probably it just doing a little self-test, and then yeah, this is into the proper data. So they're offset, but then one is relative and one is absolute. So yeah, 1617 is accelerator pedal position. Sorry, where I've got it on the piece of paper I'm working off on the side is multi-page. There's so much data. Yeah, so now we know exactly what each of them are, and it tells us a different story about them. And we have over here our O2 sensor. So now we should be able to convert this into an AFR value. And whilst it won't be uh, proper with respect to what you can get from a wideband sensor, we can still give you a value. In fact, I can transpose a value from the narrowband into this column to at least get you away from 14.7. So if it's measuring below zero point 0.5 volts, Well, I can give you that zero point 0.5 volt, I can give you that voltage and translate it into something that is meaningful to auto tune. So we should be able to get something better than nothing, which is what we have with respect to the fuel maps, unless you've got the wideband sensor, which is not a bad thing. Anyway, that's going to be handy. So I'll do that later. Okay, so I've been pretty busy lately decoding files. So I decoded the Suzuki file, and because of the nature of that file with the short and the long packets and presumably data rate stuff, I had to restructure how I did the coding. Now, this is a useful tool for me still. I haven't pushed the latest updates because I'm making a lot of changes to it. But yeah, I've reworked a lot of it now to accurately decode this file. It actually puts proper things in. It's got the PID codes on them in the header file and stuff like that. And I've got to do the O2 sensor calculations, but I will do it on the website one. Yeah, I'll transpose that narrowband into the wideband one for people who need it. But yeah, I've got the PID 14 O2 sensor is now decoded in it. But because of what I did for the Suzuki one, I sort of restructured how I do a lot of the decoding of the files and whatnot. So just refactoring. And I've been working on the ZX10R file, done a lot of work with that, and I wanted to show you one of the really weird situations that they've got with the ZX10 data. So this is they've got these strange columns. So this is a somewhat decoded ZX10R file, and there's a lot of data in here that Woolwich just doesn't go anywhere near, and I don't know why. I'll say this. I think they decode one file on an old bike way back when, and then when a new bike comes in, they just run the file through and go, oh, does it look like it works? Yeah, okay, it looks like it works. Right, we'll call it done. And I think that's how they got the TPS sensor error on the Yamaha. But I thought the Yamaha files had issues. It's like, oh my, the Kawasaki files are on a whole other level. Okay, so one of the interesting things is they have this column 12. Let's just jump back. No, I'll close that. We don't need it anymore. And uh, yeah, they have 12 and this TPS raw, which comes in at 204, which would be probably this one. So they have these two columns here, and it's the strangest thing because they do this 12 one has these interesting sort of values. They go right up, but depending upon what value is in here, they use it as a multiplier, and it's absolutely mental. So if we go have a look at this, you can see when we chart their TPS values that they've determined. All right, so this is what Woolwich says they've worked it out to be, and we look at these two columns. All right, we can see here that for 204, 205 we get nothing, for 206 we get this. Okay, it's common for Woolwich if they calculate it and it ends up below zero, they just zero it out. That's fine. 206, okay, that's consistent. 207 goes up, 208 goes up, but this is ordered by this. So how did we get a 204 that's at 0.781? But we got 204 here and it was zero. Well, they took whatever value they've got and they multiplied it by 1. So this is actually the 204 value. This is 204 multiplied by 0. Huh? So yeah, very what the hell. Okay, this one here is the 205 value multiplied by 1. This is 205 multiplied by 0, goes to 0. Let's go down further. This is 204 multiplied by 2, and this is 205 multiplied by 2. What? Here's 205 multiplied by 3. So they're doing this weird thing when you graph it, it does this. So these are the actual values, right? These have been sorted, so this isn't in any sort of operational sequence. And yeah, I don't know what they were smoking when they they came up with this. Now this is throttle position. This isn't electronic throttle valve. One of the real solutions is going to be to go back to the maps and have a look at the maps and say, okay, for a given ETV, what value should the throttle position be, or for a given, what else, what other values have we got here? We don't really have much. The file's actually really lean, the Kawasaki file, and there's just not a lot of info in it. So it'd be great, given what I've just done with the scanner on the Yamaha, to be able to plug one in and just see what codes it scans, and that tells us what the bike is trying to tell us, and we might be able to get some more info. But yeah, at the moment, it's hard to tell. Anyway, still working on the Kawasaki file. Diverted to the Yamaha one because I wanted to sort out that throttle position sensor thing and just back it up. Yeah, the dude on Reddit, he nailed it. So this guy, Seven Trace, yeah. So hats off to him. And yeah, I know a few people sort of commented on my videos on how to fix it. This is how you fix it. But that's going to be in a different video because I'm cutting this into two. It's just too much. But upcoming, yeah, I'm going to attempt to put the decoding of the O2 into the online things. So I'll put it in here. So when you load it in, you export for auto tune. If it detects that your O2 sensor doesn't have a value, all right, then it will copy it from that packet 30 and give it a voltage value. Now I'll have to do a whole other video on how to use that because it's not going to be that relevant to um, the traditional approach. So if we were to crack open Woolwich, okay, so Woolwich open, da, 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 da. Okay, so if we go to auto tune and we look at the target AFRs, so you can see here, you know, the bulk of it's all 13s, right? 14s we'll be able to do because if we come back to that, oh, did I just delete that chart? Um, let's go back. Okay, so 14s we'll be able to do, all right. 13s we won't. So all of you're gonna anyone who wants to do this that way is gonna have to set these all. Okay, so picture in your head that all of these are actually 14.7 because that's what the bike's target AFR is. Right? So you're going to have to come along and make all of these 14. All right. Although you can see here 15, that's reasonably lean, but here if you've got 0% throttle, you'll be in engine braking. Anyway, so yeah, you're going to have to, if you're going to do this O2 sensor or the narrowband one, you're going to have to set all these targets to 14 because you're not going to be able to get below it and know where you are. So if you're trying to get to 13.2 using this, you're just going to keep going and you could end up at 10. But it's still better than nothing. And yeah, it could help a few people out. It might save you from doing the Zytronics thing. And you're achieving what you're setting out to achieve, which is to have it just rich enough to cool the engine down, get better atomization, and make sure that the burn's a little more efficient. Anyway, I'll sign off, and yeah, hope you guys are sort of enjoying the info. So, catch us later.